let's talk about range. When we talk about range of a car, we do so for two reasons. One, to know how much we go on a unit of energy. So how far will we go from point A to point B when we fill the tank? And two, generally to talk about the daily efficiency of a car. How much does it cost to fill it up? How much will it cost to run? For an ICE car, it's relatively simple. Cold weather does affect the range, but not nearly so much as an EV, because there's so much wasted energy in the ICE car that the wasted energy is actually used to do all the things like heating the car. In an EV, the energy that it takes to heat the car comes directly from the batteries, and also advanced technologies like Sentry Mode, again, that comes in the battery and that affects the range and the efficiency. So to answer the first question, how far will it go in one trip on a charge? I mean, that's relatively easy. For most cars, it's what it says on the tin. If the manufacturer says you get 240 miles, you probably will, but you have to be careful. So in my Model 3, as most people, I can get the range stated if I preheat the cabin, if I drive efficiently, and if I turn the heating off. But who wants to drive without heating? So the second question as to how much it costs to run the car in terms of energy input is a bit more complicated. There are quite a few things that affect how much energy a car drains. For example, there is the HVAC system, which takes a lot of energy in Model 3. There is Sentry Mode, which again takes some energy. In my car, it's about 0.2. It's equivalent to about 0.2 miles per hour loss of range. And the final thing that you have to take into consideration is the inefficiency in transferring energy from your source, which is your home charger, to the car. Even though you might put 50 kilowatts in, you might only get 50, 45, 47 kilowatts into the car itself in terms of the battery charge. So you could mitigate for these factors. You could make sure that you charge to an optimum state. You could turn off Sentry Mode and not have it running. You won't drain power during the day. But then again, why buy a Tesla if you're not going to use Sentry? So taking all these factors into consideration, we can use this to work out how much it costs to actually run the car on a day-to-day basis, and how much does it cost per mile driven on average.
So the first thing you do to work out your driving trip efficiency is compare the number of miles driven by the number of miles lost. So I did this over 6 trips, and you'll see that my starting mileage was 202 miles and my ending mileage was 78. So that means that even though I only drove 79 miles, I ended up losing 124 miles in range from the car. That was for a combination of factors. Some of it was just general trip efficiency for my driving. So, for example, one trip I had efficiency of 76%, and one trip I had efficiency of 114%. And some of those was with heating on, and some of those were with heating off. The other factor that contributes to that general overall efficiency and me losing 124 miles of range over that period of time is Sentry Mode. So Sentry Mode was on sometimes at work, for example, and I lost 12 miles in that 13-hour period. And then at home, when Sentry Mode wasn't on, I only lost 4 miles in that 11-hour period. So in total, over that period of time, when I was driving those 3 return trips, I lost 38 miles in range over that period of time. So if you look at my total miles lost was 124 compared to my total miles driven, which was 79, and that gives me a total efficiency, well, that's miles driven and phantom range, of 64%. The next thing we have to do is work out how much energy I need to put into the car to drive those 79 miles. So if you look at my charging system, I put in 29.6 kilowatt hours into the car, but of all of those, all of that, only 27.72 made it to the battery. So this is not unusual because no charging system is 100% efficient, and you lose some efficiency, some energy in heat loss, and you lose some energy in conversion from AC to DC, etc. So overall, my charge efficiency for that period of time was 94%, and that's not atypical. So, knowing that my charge efficiency was 94% and we put 29.6 miles, 29.6 kilowatt hours into the car, we can work out how many miles I get per kilowatt hour. Per kilowatt hour, I get 2.67 miles. And if you want to look at it the other way, you can work out how many watt hours per mile. So for every mile driven, I consume 375 watt hours. The next thing we have to do is work out the cost per mile. For me, I'm on Octopus Go, which currently, when I signed up, there was a 5 pence per kilowatt hour cost for electricity overnight between 12:30 and 4:30, and that's really cheap, and it really works out really well for me and charging a car overnight. So if we look at real world and short trips, we know that it uses 375 watt hours per mile, from the previous calculations, so not 0.375 but 373 watt hours per mile. And if there's a cost of 0.5 pence, then that would be a total of 1.9 pence per mile cost, and for long trips it would be 1.3 pence per mile.
So even with added inefficiencies of short journeys and fountain drain, etc., that's still pretty cheap. To put that into perspective, a really super efficient ICE car with 45 miles per gallon combined fuel efficiency at a cost of £1.20 per gallon of diesel or petrol or whatever, that still works out to 12 pence per mile. That's almost 10 times as much you're paying per mile. So if you were going to spend £1,000 per year, which isn't unreasonable, on fuel, it would actually only cost you £100 per year on electricity. So I hope that was useful. If you have an electric car, it really does make sense to go onto Octopus Go because it's really cheap overnight. So it's only 5 pence per kilowatt hour overnight between 12:30 and 4:30, and during the daytime it's comparable to everybody else. If you want to swap onto Octopus Go, you can use my referral code that I will include in the link. If you have an ICE car and you're thinking about going to an electric car, then if you add these savings in the cost of running into your calculations, that might help you justify buying an electric car. Hopefully that was useful. See you next time.